Hello there, I'm Callum and welcome to the EU in Review, where I review the Star Wars Expanded Universe as I experience it. And this time, I'm going to be going into the comics again, with Tales of the Jedi. This time I'm talking about issue 1, no that's issue 2, issue 1 and issue 2. I'm breaking it up like this, and it is a 5-part series because it seems like the stories are a bit separated at this point. These two issues are Ulic Qel-Droma and the Beast Wars of Onderon, and then from issue 3 to 5, it is the saga of Nomi Sunrider. So it really follows a different sort of storyline, and straight off the bat I was just thinking, why didn't they just make a separate sort of sub-series for the different ones, like Tales of the Jedi, Ulic Qel-Droma and the Beast Wars of Onderon basically could be a 2-part comic, because they did 2 comics of it. And the Saga of Nomi Sunrider could just be the 3-part comic series. They do little things like that. Now, granted, I don't know how the comic industry works as much, but I just thought, to my brain, it makes more sense to break it up. So here we are. This is written by Tom Veitch, who also wrote Dark Empire, if you don't know, and illustrated by Chris Gossett. And there's some really good illustrations and writing in it too, which I quite enjoy, and especially enjoying the delving into this era of Star Wars, because having just read beforehand sort of the fall of the Sith Empire, and then before that Dawn of the Jedi, there is even again a marked difference between how the eras look and feel and how the technology is progressing, which I think is really cool. And I think one of the things that stood out to me, well, it's on the cover of issue 1, normal lightsabers instead of proto sabers. So that's a little note that I don't even need to go into my notes as I read it. But yeah, really enjoyed these, really good. And great to go into this era where it's very inspired by real history in the design and stuff, but feels like another stage in Star Wars. The epic saga told over 300 novels and up to 1 million comics. I haven't counted the comics. Well, let's begin with my spoilery section, because I feel like I'm just going to go into that and make my spoiler-free section fairly short, since I'm like, doesn't work as good when I don't really have any written out thoughts either. But my notes as I went through it is the main part of my reviews, so you should stick around for it. Especially read it, because I take notes as I read it and I try to explain it, but there may be parts where once you've read it, you get more out of what I'm saying as well, because you understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, issue 1. Bam! It opens up on Ulic training with a droid that reminds me of the training droids from the Jedi Academy video game, which I thought was quite interesting, because then we get a connection to Lego Star Wars. And then also, I like the opening. It's really interesting how the atmosphere of Daxon and Onderon touch, so the creatures can go in between. How it explains about basically the setup is Nasa Arca giving a story to his students, Tot Danita, Kay Qel-Droma, and Ulic Qel-Droma, if I can finger. I do find that the Onderonians look so close to humans, and they're supposed to be separate species, and they're only just discovering space travel. So this is a thing for me, I think, at the moment. With Star Wars, one of the criticisms I would have of the expanded universe is having different species, but just making them human again. It's like, I get it, there's some from Haran Kal, you got some from Onderon, you got some from different places, you can have some convergent evolution going on there. But it just seems like there was an opportunity to have a really interesting new species that can be unique and uniquely designed that they didn't do. They just went, oh, let's make them humans again, which I go, come. I do love this history lesson of Onderon, how it developed and formed to how we see it later on in the comic when we follow the adventurers to it. And Master Arca sends Ulic Qel and Tot Donita is a Twi'lek as well. I did not know that before. But Tot Donita is a Twi'lek, and Ulic and Qel-Droma are brothers, and they are human, of course. Master Arca is a bit different species, it seems, in some panels, but then the art shows that it's more like an old man type figure, which makes sense, but I'm just like, oh, could have had a different species too. I do love my variety of species. And also, apparently Master Arca was saying it is a test for knighthood. So, they've been learning as Padawans and all that through this time. Or, as they call it, apprentices at this time. They didn't have that Padawan terminology at this point. And then, it's their test for knighthood. The ship, the Nebulon Ranger, has a cool design. Oh, I'll have to show you that. Where for that Nebulon Ranger? The art is really good in this. I really do enjoy it. Yeah, they have unique ship designs. That's the Nebulon Ranger and this, the Beast Riders around them. It's really cool. It's really cool. And it really gives a different feel for the era from the ship designs and everything as well. And they have racial issues with Tot Donita as they land because he's a Twi'lek, which is quite interesting to start going into a bit. And that's definitely another aspect of the story that I don't see in some other places. And I think they could have picked up a bit more on it if they wanted to, but I'm glad they didn't too much because the purpose of the story was not that exactly. But it was a hint at what was to come. It's funny that Kay looks like he's eyeing Gallia, which Gallia is Queen Aminoa's daughter, because they go meet the Queen of Onderon at that time. And then it looks like she takes all of Ulic's attention in one panel, because it looks like Ulic Qel-Droma is eyeing her as well. It might not be super intentional, but that's how it looked. And then the Queen invokes the name of Frida Nad. Connections! And then leading into the next part, after this 5-part Tales of the Jedi series, the Frida Nad Uprising. They steal Gallia, the Queen's daughter, which they are the Beast Riders. So in the whole history, there is the people in the Walled City that is the good guys, the rich ones that throw out outcasts, and then the outcasts eventually learn to be self-sufficient in the wasteland and tame beasts and everything. And so those guys are the ones going in and attacking the guys in the city because they throw them out and causing problems. Ulic is very quick, I noticed, to jump on to take charge to rescuing and looking for Gallia, which is another note. And the issue ends with their ship being hit by a torpedo as they're looking to rescue Gallia, and so they crash and land. Then on to issue 2. And I love the cover art for this one as well. It's really good. That's Tot Donita, even though it looks a bit different in the actual comic. It is cool how it shows Tot communicating with the beasts and taming them, and that is something that is picked up a bit later on as well in some other stories of different Jedi. They sort of hinted at it a little bit, and then they reveal that Gallia went willingly with the Beast Lords, as they called the Beast Lords of Onderon. And so that adds a cool dynamic to the story, I think. It was not just a typical, go rescue the princess, save the day, but then there's more to it. It's one of Ulic's massive traits is confidence. But that confidence won't work out. I could tell that from before the story played out as well. Is that very much he's confident, he wants to make peace between the two sides. He's like, yeah, I'm a Jedi! And then, of course, Queen Aminoa wants to kill Gallia as soon as Gallia approaches him. And they start revealing more and more. And after they escape a bit, Gallia reveals that they are being influenced by the dark side of the Force. And of course, again, peace fails when Ulic just goes to try and go straight to them, go straight to Queen Amidala, go straight to the guys in the city, instead of laying groundwork. See, how I would have done it if I was Ulic was go ahead, go back to the city, start laying some groundwork, like the population start laying some groundwork, laying some even rumours and stuff that the Beast Lords aren't so bad, that they've been misinterpreted, we should be open and willing to understand them and listen to them and talk to them. But no, they're just like, let's go straight and muck it up. It is really cool how it bursts into a huge whole-scale war on the planet. That's great fun to read, as well as look at the art on it. It's really cool. And they cut off Kay's arm, which is like, wow, you actually just did that. Because they didn't hold back too much in these either. It's a cool moment. And it's pretty cool how they are descendants of Freedom Nad with Queen Amidala and everything as well. Rather than just followers of Freedom Nad, the Queen and Nad are all descendants of Freedom Nad. And how I've heard about Freedom Nad. But at this point, I'm going like, we've heard about all the Mark Arachnis. He appears just as a ghost in Golden Age of the Sith. And then Freedom Nad is another ghost that appears. Rather than actually seeing them alive and reading their journey, there could have been great potential for filling in those stories in the expanded universe, but at the moment, we only have the stories of them when they appear as Force ghosts. Bit annoying, but oh well. Sith spirits. Terminology, gotta remember that. And Kay as a tech head, because Kay sings as he's a tech head, a bit like the Luke and Leia thing, where Luke's more of a tech head and Leia is more of a diplomat. Kay is more of a tech head. And he's going to attach a droid arm as a prosthetic, which I'm like, really? Wouldn't you just wait and put a proper custom made arm on? But apparently he goes, no, I'm just going to pick up this arm and stick it on. It'll be good. And apparently it works, so who am I to say? Master Arca comes in and saves the day, which is interesting, because he uses battle meditation. And Queen Amidala also has a form of battle meditation, but Master Arca's battle meditation wins out. Which is interesting how battle meditation is actually seemingly more common in this era than future eras. At least as far as the prequel Jedi and all that go. It is interesting how all the Padawans failed, and Arca gives the Qel-Dromas and Tot a bit. Well, Tot, he sort of doesn't really give criticism, but he gives the Qel-Dromas criticisms for how they acted and what's gone on. And Freedom Nad's lightsaber looks really cool, actually. It's interesting how Arca basically overpowers the dark side with his light. It's a very different way of looking at it. And I think that when you look at it that way, you go, that's how Master Arca envisioned it. More than that's what actually happened. Because as per Michael Reeves' novels as well, reading those, everyone interprets the Force differently. So you can have him going, this is how I envisioned it, and that's how we see it visually represented, versus it wouldn't really look like much if it's actually in real life. And you sit standing there looking like, looks like he's struggling, but nothing much is happening. And then it will be a change in the Force in the way that goes. And it ends with the city uniting after the dark side is purged. Which is nice. It's a nice, hopeful end. And Kay installs the droid arm he purloined from a random droid sitting there. So as I said, apparently it works. And he just, it's done. It's a nice ending for this part of the story of Ulic Qel-Droma. And I almost think they could have had more of the war beasts though. That will be my thing at the end of it, as well as they could have had more. Since it's called Ulic Qel-Droma and the Beast Wars of Onderon, more of the war beasts. Look at more of the war beasts. I know it's about the Beast Lords and the Onderonians, as they've been called in this. But come on, have a bit more of the beasts. Highlight them a bit more. it seems like there was just one sort of beast as well, and there could have been multiple types, so I think they could have really expanded on that if they wanted to. As I say, having 2 single issues of a 5-issue part being this, they could have had an extra issue, and I would have bought it for having a bit more on the beasts and stuff, but it's still really good. I really enjoyed it, and it's really cool. So let me know what you think down in the comments there. Interested in hearing your thoughts on Ulic Qel-Droma and the Beast Wars of Onderon. And I'll see you in the next video. Over.